So, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Honourable Jenny McAllister. And I would now ask that the officers for the NBN Co, who are appearing on teleconference, would now introduce themselves and the capacity in which they're appearing before us.
Chair, why don't I start? Ellie Sweeney, I'm appearing as the CEO of NBN Co.
Thank you.
Anna Perrin, I'm appearing as the Chief Customer Officer, Chair.
And I'm Philip Knox, the Chief Financial Officer.
Dion Vonovich, Chief Network Officer.
And Gavin Williams, Chief Development Officer for Regional and Remote.
Thank you very much. Ms Sweeney, do you have an opening statement?
I do, Chair.
Lovely. If you could just go ahead.
Let me start off. Look, Chair, thank you, and I do want to recognise you and the committee for accommodating us today via video conference, so thanks for that. Joining me this evening, I think we've already introduced my colleagues, so I won't do that again. As I provided an update just over a month ago, I'd like to share just a brief business update and overview, and also table our response to the ex-tropical cyclone Alfred. So, as outlined in our half-year results for financial year 25, NBN remains on track financially, and earlier this month we raised approximately 750 million Australian dollars in our latest domestic green bond issuance, bringing our total of green bonds in domestic and international markets to $7.4 billion, and that's further demonstrating the investor confidence in NBN. We are delivering on our important purpose, which, as you know, is to lift Australia's digital capability. And we do that by providing fast, reliable, affordable services which aim to meet the current and I think really important future needs of Australian households, communities and businesses. The NBN is critical digital infrastructure and it impacts the lives of Australians daily. More than 20 million Australians used around 48 gigabytes of data in 2024. And that was across more than 390,000 kilometres of fibre optic cable, 345 square kilometres of fixed wireless footprint, and around 7.7 million square kilometres of satellite coverage across mainland Australia, Tasmania and our remote islands. We continue to enhance our networks with upgrades to ensure people right across Australia gain the benefits of faster speeds, fewer interruptions, more reliability and capacity. And we remain on track to complete the upgrades that will enable 5 million additional homes and businesses to access full fibre by the end of 2025. And we're about to embark on upgrading the last 622,000 premises off legacy copper networks. Fibre provides the highest speed and capacity of any technology. It delivers the most consistent experience, is the most efficient network to operate, the most resilient technology to weather, and will position the NBN network to meet the customer demand for decades to come. And I'm pleased to report that fibre has now become the prevalent technology in our fixed line network since last we met. A fibre network means fewer dropouts, less faults, less truck rolls, reduces environmental impact and operational costs, and improves network viability and the overall sustainability of the company. And beyond fibre, we are also upgrading the capacities of our HFC network, which now serves around 2.5 million homes and businesses across Australia. And we're also pleased to see the ACCC's latest Measuring Broadband Australia report note that our fixed wireless upgrades are now providing average wholesale download speeds for fixed wireless plus plans available on that network of 99.8 megabits per second during all hours in December 2024. And that's up from 47.4 megabits in December of 2021. Nowhere do we see the example of the criticality of the NBN network and the benefits of fibre more than with the recent ex-tropical cyclone Alfred, which impacted Queensland and northern New South Wales. Our biggest risk to the network, NBN network, during a natural disaster is the resilience in the commercial power networks. Full fibre connections have less reliance on the power grid and so are less impacted by outages. We see less damage on full fibre network following a natural disaster, so service restoration times are shorter, making fibre a more resilient technology. In preparation for the cyclone, we deployed generators to maintain and restore connectivity in the event of power loss, flood impact or network damage. We also safely mobilised satellite trucks, portable satellite kits and field workforce to impacted areas. At the height of its impact, approximately 378,000 services experienced an outage, with 2,269 NBN network sites affected. Most outages were due to loss of mains power, with some network damage, including at least 68 fibre-to-the-node sites, and some of our HFC network impacted. We deployed a total of 43 generators, mainly supporting the fixed wireless towers. And during the event, 79 disaster satellite services provided free high-speed broadband through a Wi-Fi access point at evacuation centres, community hubs and emergency services facilities, helping displaced residents stay in contact and supporting first responders. In this context, we welcome the Australian Government's announcement this week regarding continued investment for emergency connectivity in regional Australia. And this announcement will include funding for up to 500 additional community Wi-Fi sites, as well as extending these critical services at the 1,068 existing sites across Australia under the Strengthening Telecommunications Against Natural Disasters, or STAND program. Our network provides critical infrastructure to the community and is our priority to ensure we're working closely with authorities, with electricity distributors, with emergency services to respond to events and to minimise network disruption and restore impacted services quickly, and I would say safely, for our teams and our delivery partners. On the 11th of March, we announced a cyclone relief fund of up to $7 million to support eligible retailers in providing financial assistance to affected households and businesses. The impact of ex-tropical cyclone has reinforced the importance of strong, resilient infrastructure, and our investments in expanding full fibre are critical for a more durable and reliable broadband network. And I'd like to extend my sincere thanks to the NBN Emergency Management team, as well as our delivery partners involved in this response. Finally, we have a strong commitment to an ongoing dialogue with our current and potential customers and with a range of industry stakeholders such as retailers, consumer advocacy groups, governments and regulators. We appreciate the ongoing involvement of our stakeholders in our consultations, and most recently that was part of NBN's replacement module process under the Special Access Undertaking Framework. And we encourage further and ongoing participation as we continue towards the next regulatory cycle. So together, in partnership, we can help to expand our connectivity foundations to lift Australia's digital capabilities and meet the current and future needs of households, of communities and of businesses. Thank you, Chair, for letting me read out that statement. We are now delighted to take the committee's questions.
Thank you very much. We'll go directly to Senator Davey.
Thank you very much. Thank you for appearing tonight. I'll jump straight in. I want to talk about the support during the recent disasters. You've outlined your deployment of portable generators, portable satellite services and the outages. You also talked about the $7 million in support to the retail operators to assist people in communities impacted. Can you explain what those supports look like?
Senator, so that's an up to $7 million relief fund that we are providing to the retail service providers. As you know, as a wholesaler, we obviously rely on the retail service providers to provide that fund through to their customers. So that was made available fairly quickly after the Saturday. We made that available on the Monday of the cyclone.
So will that be for the retailers to provide maybe a form of compensation to customers who were cut off the network?
Yes, Senator. It's Anna Perrin here. It's for if a customer had lost service for more than 24 hours, they are able to go and speak to their retailer, who can then we will support them with that by refunding that service or causing that service cost for that period of time.
And is that provided to retailers at a specific rate, or do the retailers come to you with the numbers of customers they want to provide the compensation to, and then you pay on demand up to that 7 million cap?
That's right. So we've there is a specific rate. We've aggregated it to try and make it as simple as possible for the process to work. So it's a $50 amount for each service. There are some conditions to that, as you would expect. Obviously a customer has to be within the impacted area, and the retailer makes a claim into NBN. Those claims are due to come into us by the end of March. So that's the time frame that we've set out to retailers. And they're working through that at the moment. So
by the end, basically by this weekend, you expect the applications.
Yes.
You expect the applications to come in from retailers, which will outline how many customers. You'll review their applications and provide the funding. Was a similar relief fund provided to retailers for communities in the recent North Queensland floods?
Senator, no, there wasn't. Let me jump in here and then I'll ask Anna to also provide some update here. This is only the third time that NBN has provided a discretionary disaster funding. The first time over the last 5 years was in the Victorian bushfires. That was in January 2020. Second time was 2022, and that was the Lismore floods. And the third time for this disaster recovery funding was this cyclone event. The difference between this event and the Far North Queensland monsoon event comes down to a couple of things. One is, again, the scale of Cyclone Alfred. And again, I just mentioned those numbers are close to 390,000 plus impacted services as a force majeure event. Versus the monsoon event in Far North Queensland, which impacted about 13,713 services over 150 or so sites.
Pretty sure some of the impacted communities up in Townsville felt it was a little bit more than just a general monsoon event. Who makes the final decision as to whether a relief fund like this, a disaster relief fund, will be rolled out?
So management and NBN make that decision, Senator.
Did you actually...
And if I can...
Sorry?
I was going to say that we consider a number of factors. We consider disaster declarations. We consider the impact on the network customers and RSPs. We also consider the scale of loss for customers, community, the level of disruption, the recovery outlook, and the relevance of support by retail service providers who offer relief as well. And I might just ask Anna just to jump in there because I think it may help the discussion. Obviously, as a wholesaler, we can endorse a relief fund, but RSPs obviously in certain circumstances also have different funds that they utilise as well.
Yes, so in natural disasters, NBN's role generally is to focus on network resilience, preparation, recovery, and also strong communications with retailers on our recovery activity and outlook. And that always includes, for example, priority assistance for vulnerable customers who might require additional support, or priority restoration. So that's the normal kind of mode of operation. We generally don't provide disaster relief. This occurs by exception. Usually it's retailers that do that. Obviously, they're the ones that own the customer relationship. It might sound part of the reason is it's actually quite it's a task to actually go and implement something like this for the retailers. I mean, they have to run a process with their customers and then come into us. So that's one of the considerations that we think through. We do also have rebates and things in place if we miss appointment times and we miss an SLA and something's not under a force majeure event. So there's other ways that we support those sorts of activities. But in general, we've only put in place disaster the cyclone was due to be a major event. Thankfully, it wasn't as big, but that's why we put this in place.
So, I mean, I'm aware there are still customers, people in far north Queensland who are still disconnected from the internet through and from the NBN service. Did you actually receive any requests for assistance from communities in North Queensland, either during the flood event or in the immediate aftermath?
Not that I'm aware of in terms of financial. I mean, customers would obviously reach out to their retailers, Senator Davey. So that may have come into the retailer community. Certainly from discussions with retailers, that hasn't been a discussion that's come into us in terms of financial support. But of course, we have constant communication around the recovery of the network and what we're doing and when people can expect to see an NBN technician out there. And we, as you would imagine, we redirect technicians from connection work into assurance work. So we make sure that that's very well known.
You've had no correspondence or communication from local government representatives or mayors specifically requesting similar relief fund as has been offered to the communities impacted by Alfred?
Not that I'm aware of, Senator.
I'm not aware of it either.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, that's very interesting. You mentioned also, I will take that on notice because or if you could just double check whether you've had any correspondence from any local government representatives or mayors. Did you provide?
Sorry, Senator, if I could just more than happy to take that on notice. And I think to your point previously, I mean, obviously anyone without a service is impacted. So whether that's part of the 13,000 or whether you're part of the 390,000, and our aim always is to reconnect customers as soon as possible. In terms of, we would have to take on notice. I'm not aware of any correspondence that's come through, but obviously we'll take that on.
So, Senator, just to clarify, correspondence pertaining to support for end users, I'm not aware of any correspondence. We do engage with local councils, and we have had correspondence and engagement, for example, with Hinchinbrook, and that's in relation to contemplating such issues as power resilience and those kind of topics. So more around network resilience and emergency response framework, not pertaining to end customer relief, if you like.
Okay, so from Hinchinbrook, it was more about the physical response, such as portable generators and portable satellite kits that you've outlined.
That covered.
You mentioned also in your opening statement the stand network, and we know there's over 1,000 sites that have already had stand infrastructure installed. In these two impacted areas, North Queensland and then the South East Queensland Northern Rivers area impacted by Alfred, are there do you know how many stand locations there are in those two areas?
Senator, I'd have to take on notice in relation to North Queensland. I don't have that detail to hand. In relation to the extratropical cyclone Alfred, we identified about 79 stand locations in what we deem to be impacted amber and red postcodes across southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales. And I don't think you'd be surprised that we did see activity across those locations, including about 1,700 devices between the 5th of March and 17th of March, consuming about 600 gigabytes of data. Now, what we did, we looked at where, out of that cohort of 79 locations, which sites had elevated usage across the passage of the cyclone. There was about 26 sites across the region that experienced an increase in usage, which would say clearly, well, it would be indicative of particular use as an evacuation centre. And in particular, between Sunday the 9th of March and Wednesday the 12th of March, peaking at Monday the 10th of March with 91 gig. And that encompassed locations from Casino Showground through to Noosa Leisure Centre and everywhere in between.
But you don't have the numbers of Far North Queensland to hand.
I have to take that on notice, but happy to.
Well, while you're taking it on notice, have you got a spreadsheet of where all the current stand locations are across Australia? So
we do, and that's available on a mapping tool as well. But we can provide those details.
That'd be great. Just out of interest, were any stand facilities offline at the time of Tropical Cyclone Alfred, for any reason?
Well, the short answer is yes. For example, what we did, we looked at these 79 locations, and we obviously, in the case of ex-tropical cyclone Alfred, and as it was tropical cyclone Alfred, we had an opportunity to engage with our emergency management, a proactive response for a period of time. And what we find in some stand locations, they could be in a local footy club, for example, and we sometimes find, frankly, they're turned off. So one of the ways that we ensure we're match fit is trying to raise contacts with the authorised personnel to make sure that we can have the infrastructure actually switched on in the case of those circumstances that rely on general purpose power. And as one example, one that was front of mind to the team was Ingham Showgrounds. And we made several attempts to A, get there, and B, get text there. We ultimately got there as soon as we could, once it was safe to do so. But I would note that as far as I'm aware, the Ingham Showgrounds was not able, unfortunately, for the Ingham community to be open as an evacuation centre because it was subject to flooding. But that's an example, I suppose, illustrative of the sorts of processes we go through to enable ourselves to be match fit for the stand locations in the times of need.
Okay. That's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator Cadell.
Thank you very much. I want to go to Sky Muster straight away if I can. We're talking about it, I think Senator Davey was talking about it last estimates, and there were some commercial sensitivities, but on the 4th of March there was a story in the AFR saying that Amazon set to beat Starlink to NBN deal. Any ideas how a story got out or leaked, or have we traced any information from your organisation on that?
Senator, maybe a couple of things from me. Let me say I really can't comment on speculation from a journalist, and definitely I would politely put that back to the journalist in question around their source. But I can tell you that NBN takes our procurement policy, our probity and our due diligence very seriously. And I think, as we mentioned last time that we met, this is a complex, it's a delicate, it's also a commercially sensitive negotiation. So again, I'm comfortable from an NBN perspective in terms of our compliance to and our satisfaction around the commercial sensitivity of this negotiation.
Okay, were any checks done of internal comms going outside that it didn't come from you guys?
Well, I think the premise of the question is that it's a leak of something that's a point of fact. I mean, it was ultimately press speculation.
Okay, I accept that was the premise, but did you do any checks? Were any checks of external comms of such a sensitive matter? Did we do any probity checks or any checks to see had there been communications from the NBN to anyone external on this?
I'd have to take that on notice, Senator.
Okay. Has a provider been selected?
Well, Senator, the process, as we've given testimony before, is a process of commercial incompetence.
Yep.
We're well advanced in that process, but at a critical stage in a very complex range of negotiations. So, ultimately, there's no deal to be done until the deal's ready to be done. So, and we're not at that stage where there is something that's inkable. We are far enough advanced to be comfortable that we can see a pathway to a low Earth orbit partnership being something that makes sense to NBN and to the community to offer services to most remote citizens at a point before the retirement of Sky Muster. But clearly, and I think, Senator, you alluded to some of these points in previous discussions, there are a range of careful considerations around sovereignty issues to be managed, data sovereignty, commercial issues, technology issues, operating and of course commercial issues. So we are, Senator, you'll be the first to know.
No, I will not be. I would hope the Minister would be the first to know. Speaking of that, does the Minister know the preferred proponent at the moment?
If that's a question, addressed to me, Senator Cannell, I'll take it on notice because, as you understand, I represent the Minister and I don't know her state of knowledge.
I was going to ask the NBN, have they briefed the Minister on the preferred proponent so far? Without wanting to know who or what, have you briefed them on the preferred proponent?
Well, over time, we've kept the department and the Minister's office engaged and appraised of updates.
Okay. Well, we're staying in the media space. And I know it is new. This is a right of rebuttal for you guys more than anything else. The March 13, the Australian reported that NBN's fixed wireless upgrade program had adjusted 100 new customers despite costing $700 million. I accept that it had only finished in the December quarter. So now that we're in a full quarter gone, I hope that's a significantly higher number. Do we have more than 100, 200 sign-ups on the fixed wireless upgrade?
Senator, the fixed wireless upgrade is not something that's limited to giving benefits to new customers, but it certainly does. But let me come back to that in a moment. We're transparent, as we always have been, around our numbers. We have the NBN Network Premises Report, which the most recent number in February 25, 398,486 active premises on that on the fixed wireless network. That's 398,486 premises, multiplied by the family and a couple of kids, about 1 million Australians being supported by that network and getting the benefit of a significant speed uplift, as Ms Sweeney noted in the ACCC report, lifting from 47 to 99 megabits per second in any hours. But I do note that ACCC report spoke to a 93-odd megabit per second busy hour experience. Now, Senator, that's on our fixed wireless plus service. Yep. And I think it's relevant to note that the fixed wireless plus service is actually priced at our fixed line 50 megabits per second. So if you looked at the table in the ACCC report, you'd see, and this is not internal competition within NBN, Senator, but you'll see a rundown of 50 megabit speed tiers delivering more than 50 meg, because that's what we do. But the fixed wireless plus service offering supporting lived experience north of 93 meg. Actually, our internal measures are north of that. We've also liberated higher speed tiers up to, for around 80%, or ultimately would be 80% of our customer base, for over 400 megabits per second. Now, I live with this service in my place in Western Victoria, and my community utilises this service, and it just, viscerally, I can just see the positive impacts it's having on the community and our ability to stay connected with the global digital economy. But we've also expanded the footprint. So I know you're really interested in the satellite capability. What we've done, though, Senator, is expand our footprint from 225,000 square kilometres to 345,000 square kilometres. That additional footprint is roughly equivalent to adding an area the size of the island of Ireland. So it's a significant area, not adding new towers, but expanding the coverage of our fixed wireless network, and about 122,000 premises that were previously mapped to satellite. So we have just finished. We've commenced now a marketing program to raise awareness and let customers across the footprint, whether they're existing customers who could benefit from higher speed tiers, for example, and we support our retailers in some of these activities, through to awareness in the former satellite footprint that they're ready to connect for fixed wireless. And I recall in the previous estimates there was an appetite to see some green shoots. I think I made a comment there is green shoots, Senator, in relation to our trading trajectory. But we're just about at that starting line post upgrade. 398,486 homes benefiting from that upgrade today.
Well, they're not, because they haven't transferred over. They could benefit from that upgrade.
No, Senator. They humbly have access to. They are using a network that has been upgraded.
Yep.
They don't have to do anything. They do not have to do a thing. Now, if they're on a fixed wireless service yesterday, per Ms. Sweeney's opening statement, they'd be getting 47 megabits per second.
Yep.
According to the ACCC measurements today, 98 megabits per second, without doing anything. That's the consequence for the existing customer base who are benefiting from an upgraded experience.
So the 100 that was reported, this is why I was I was trying to get to the bottom of this. The 100 is just 100 new customers on top of that.
Senator,
486 was 338. 386.
The report, as I understand it, it found a number of change in connected customers. You don't need to rely on that publication, Senator. We publish our premises report.
Complicated a very simple answer there. I'm okay with that.
Can I add, Senator, we are just about, as Mr. Williams said, about to start a marketing campaign now that the network is ready. So there will be regional ads starting next week. Yep. We're also on track to send out a number of letters across the footprint to let people know that this new network and new service is available. And we also know that a number of our retailers are now out in market, and for the first time also they're sending out letters to their customers as well. So we really are at the beginning of the marketing campaign, and we're looking forward to where Mr. Williams and I will be working on this together.
Okay.
So just to make this really clear, maybe we've complicated. If you're an existing customer, you have a better experience today than you did.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're an existing customer or a new customer and you'd like to upgrade, there is an opportunity for us to also upgrade customers to higher speed plans.
Right. Okay. If we go now to the $3 billion, the extra fibre rollout, you've said you've had a successful bond issue, I believe, in your intro. What can I ask? What the WACC was over the entire bond, or
what
was the average weight? What was the fee you're paying? Are you happy to say that, or you want to take it to commercial in confidence?
In confidence, please.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to push that. That's fine.
Thank you, Senator.
On the media release where we're talking about, and the questions I asked last time, and clear point, I'm happy with more people being able to get on fibre. And you talk about the regional use. And in the media release, it says ultimately, you say Launceston and Outback South Australia, which might... So many South Australians on this committee, so it's very popular. Do you have a...
South Australians are very popular.
Yeah, well, also cereal capital of Australia, but...
so be careful, right?
When we get there, it's... do you have a geographical breakdown regionally versus... I don't expect an answer now. It's got to be a table or a form or a LGA. Do you have that breakdown for those 22,000 new connections where they are?
Yeah, absolutely, Senator. Let me ask Dion to give you a more fulsome answer on that.
Yeah.
And Senator, sorry to do this to you. This is another South Australian, so I'll fighting on that one. Yes, we do, and I think it's also fair to say, and I'll just take the opportunity to remind all Australians that we've got already 9.5 million premises that can convert to a full gigabit capability, which full fibre does provide. And, that's about jumping on our website, going to nbn.com.au and checking their address, and there, customers...
Come on, this isn't the cricket. You don't need to market here. Come on.
I think, Senator, it's about the specific information for the premise. That's really what customers get that information for, and it does show what's available at their sites, at their premise location. So, yes, we do have obviously the suburb locality information as well, and we can provide that.
I'm just wondering what the best breakdown of that is, because I don't think postcode, I think that would be a monstrous document. What sort of granularity? Can you do LGAs, or what sort of... That would be reasonable, or?
Yeah, we can. We've obviously got maps across all parts of Australia. 622 does cover all states and territories, different states of different volumes, obviously, as part of the last part of the footprint. So we can, potentially pull that together. So leave that with us, Senator, and we'll take that on notice and come back with the outcome.
Okay, thanks very much.
So, Senator, that's across about 22,300 postcodes. So we can definitely take that and come back to this committee.
Thanks very much. When we were doing the sums before and we came up with that number about 6,100 per premise, I've subsequently been told that that's not going to the premise. Is that running by the front door, or is that fibre to the curb or fibre to the premise?
Yeah, so Senator, that is fibre to the boundary kit in front of the premise. What's
the current average running at from curb to premise? I've been told numbers about like 1,200. Is that about right? 1,300 for that last link?
Sorry, from the premise to the actual boundary kit itself?
Yes.
Yeah, it's, we've discussed this in previous estimates, and it's around $1,500.
$1,500. Okay. Right. So we're getting up over $7,500 for these last 622,000 homes, if they connect.
Senator, I wouldn't characterise it like that, because there will be quite a lot of premises within that 622, which will be much cheaper than $6,000 in the street.
But on average,
that is obviously an average. So we'll see areas that are more expensive than that as well, and that's why in the announcement we've been very mindful about the prudent and efficient approach that we take with this upgrade, and there is 5% that we will, and we do expect will be extremely high costs, and with the upgrades that Mr Williams just talked to in the fixed wireless network and the future LEO solution that we are deep in negotiation with, it makes sense to leverage those next generation networks to make that right engineering and financial decision when we get down to that level of detail.
No, and once again, the internal conflict is need versus financial return. I know semi-commercial promise, and that's again my internal demons. Because the other thing, if that's the upside of it, some are more expensive and some are cheaper. The downside of those numbers are averaging it out at that is only if everyone takes it up, all 622,000 take it up. If we get a 50% sign-up rate to fibre, we're looking at a very high number on average, aren't we? Over $12,000.
Well, I think, Senator, that's right now just obviously the capital costs, and within the business case that we've developed for this is dependent on what the penetration and take-up rate looks like. I think at the end of the day, when we look at the fact that we do need to make a decision on the copper network, and full fibre is that future technology that's future ready for ultimately decades to come, this is the pathway for the network to move towards to. Noting we will be leveraging fixed wireless next generation upgrades that we have completed and future satellite, future LEO satellite.
And Senator, I think we covered this last time as well. I mean, I think if you go back to Dion's original points, 3.5 million premises today were on fibre to the node, and they will be upgraded by the end of this calendar year in 2025. And coupled with that, we have 5 million premises that will have gig-enabled services. I suppose the alternative for us is the final 622,000 did not have an upgrade path, and they would have remained on degrading copper, inability to get up to 100 meg services. The other thing we are doing in the background, which is worth recognising, is we've clocked over almost 670,000 upgrades over the last 3 years. And we're definitely investing in terms of underperforming lines and poor performing lines as well for customers to, again, move them onto a full fibre solution. The other thing probably worth recognising as we are on this point is, as part of the replacement module application, we are also consulting around not only the benchmark service standards for NBN to RSP environment, but also different ways where it makes economical and financial and I think good customer sense for us to also look at 3 opportunities to start to migrate customers in a more managed fashion as well. And the reason I'd like to share that is, of course, that would have a different cost base as we go in from a demand model to potentially a model where, in some cases, we will be working with RSPs to move customers onto fibre as well. Now, that's a regulatory cycle of 27 to 29, but it does change some of the economics around this. And I think to Dion's point, underpinning from the business cases also is just the cost base and the change to our OPEX and capital environment of, again, maintaining that ageing copper network as well.
While you're on that OPEX and copper, just Mrs. Lacey from Year 7 Maths at Cardiff High would be semi-proud of me. If we're using all of those 622,000 connections and that 3.8 billion, where does the roughly 933 million come from CapEx to connect to the premise?
Senator Philip Knox, that's at our expense. All connection costs are NBN's cost.
Yeah, so
on top of that,
where's the capital come from? Where's that? Is that sitting in a different account? The 3 billion you got, the extra 800 million you've raised, covers the fibre past the curb to the curb. Yes. Where does an extra 933 million, by my calculation?
That comes out of our own cash flows.
Right. Okay.
Over time. This is a 5-year exercise. It'll take us time. It's an on-demand model for now.
Well, what's your 5-year ARPU for this? For each connection?
It's pretty much consistent with what our current base of ARPU is. At the moment, it's our ARPU is running at about $50 odd. But that will increase in time as people choose to take higher tiers and use the capability of the fibre network.
Okay, but it's my comprehension now. My English teacher would be upset. A 5-year thing of funding that from your own cash flows of $50 per premise over 5 years is $250. There's a big gap between $250 and $1,500. So will that cause greater cash burn and greater cash drain on your balance sheet?
Yes, it will in the short term. These are long-term projects, right? The fibre that we put in the ground.
You said 5 years, not me. That's where I got scared when you said 5 years. Just then.
Well, over the next 5 years, as we roll it out, we will be incurring that cost. I mean, that's all part of our business case, and it's. If you look at our total revenues, if you look at from a total revenue, we're sort of generating $5 to $6 billion a year. And that's recovering costs from previous the build projects that we've done and continuing in the future. So we've got a major.
I don't doubt your revenue, but there has been cash burn for the last few years.
And there will be for another 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And that's part of the program. We get our returns over a longer period. That's just as these infrastructure assets, how they work.
Okay.
I might just have a little follow-up there. So the costs and such like we've discussed over the last wee while. In terms of what bringing the NBN to households actually does in terms of a sort of an equity piece, can you just talk a little bit about that in terms of the access and equity? No.
So, Senator, sorry, if you could just repeat that.
I could. I guess my point being that access to the internet, access to services, access to work from, different locations, access to education, training, information. There's obviously the economics is really important, and I think, that's just been unpacked there for some time. There is also that very important, in my humble opinion, that other side of it, which is actually about the equity and access piece. And I wonder if you have any views about that whatsoever.
Well, Senator, we have a number of views about that. It goes very much to the purpose of NBN, and that's about lifting the digital capability of Australians, and it's not dependent, on your postcode. So from our perspective, again, we've got a position around the equity, and again, that's why the comment about the 3.5 million services we're upgrading by the end of this year and the 622 becomes so important, because without this investment, we would not have had an upgrade path for those homes and businesses within that fixed line footprint for 622,000, and that's, again, as we've mentioned previously, in metro and in regional Australia. So I think from our perspective, the benefit of NBN, and again, we've just released a social report about the benefit of NBN and the impact it has not only on people in regional Australia, but in metro. And again, the results are quite interesting. I think they're very positive, obviously, around the positive impacts around people's lives, their enjoyment, their ability to work from anywhere, the ability to access telehealth, the ability to have equity around education are just some of the things that obviously it brings to mind. As a GBE, we manage not only the social opportunity and the social license to operate, we also balance, obviously, that commercial component as well. But I think, again, the social and the equity component is not lost on anyone at NBN. It really is part of the reason people work here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll go briefly to Senator Bellick.
Thanks,
Go, Kat.
Chair. The NBN recently completed an upgrade of the fixed wireless network, which upgraded more than, I think it was about 2,000 towers. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's right.
So can you
Sorry, Senator, it's about 2,300 towers.
2,300. 300, great.
300.
Even better. What additional capability has the upgrade delivered, and how many customers are therefore benefiting from the improved service?
Yes, Senator, I think I get excited by this topic, and I think my response to
That's delightful
Senator Cadell's perhaps simple question with my expansive answer. Perhaps just a very quickly bullet point again. I mean, the full customer base of fixed wireless, circa 400,000 customers, benefit from an upgraded service, an expanded footprint from 245,000 to 345,000 square kilometres, an extra 122,000 premises, lifting busy hour speeds for everyone today, and giving the opportunity to get higher speed tiers, upgrading to capabilities that, frankly, are kind of best in class in the context of fixed wireless access, to having deployed great new technologies to push that network for everything it's got for the benefit of folks in the bush.
Just in regard to it was mentioned earlier about the ACCC report through the Measuring Broadband Australia, the report on the performance of NBN fixed wireless. How does this reported performance compare to the capability of the network before the upgrade?
47
well, I think the Ms Sweeney's opening statement gives some snapshot in time from a 47 megabit per second anytime experience in the time frame
to 99.8.
Yeah, to 99.8. In fact, design guide ahead of the upgrade was to have a busy hour experience of 6 megabits per second, which frankly I know from driving around and flying around regional Australia that you don't get a great reception if you're offering 6 megabits per second. Now, before we started the upgrade program, we were delivering more than that, but not in sort of a game-changing kind of fashion. This is a game changer on this network, and as City of Measuring Broadband Australia, during the busy hour for Fixed Wireless Plus, just over 93 megabits per second. And that's fast, Senator. You can watch BritBox to your heart's content with that kind of speed.
And through my retirement, that's something I intend to do. Can you outline some of the key findings of that report for us?
I'd need to scramble to get some. Have you got any comments on that report beyond fixed wireless numbers? What the report shows is it's a range of topics, including the speeds that are delivered across technologies at various speed tiers across NBN's portfolio of products from each of our fixed line technologies through to fixed wireless and now satellite. It also looks at the outage performance for each of the technologies. And one thing it does show is that our fibre service, our fibre to the premises service, is top of the pops in that regard. But equally, the reliability of some of our even Sky Muster service is quite solid. But ultimately a headline from this report, according to the ACCC, was this continued shift upwards in the performance of our fixed wireless service.
Great. Thanks. Can I just have one more question on?
Could be your last.
Vaguely, it could be
your last ever.
Could be my last
Senator
ever estimates question. I'm living in hope that it might be. The Albanese government's helping to narrow the digital divide by providing free community-wide Wi-Fi services to around 20 First Nations communities. Are you able to provide the committee with an update on the rollout of this very important initiative?
What a great question.
Yes, we can.
So me again, Senator. So we contracted to install community Wi-Fi, so a mesh Wi-Fi service to cover outdoors in around 20 and ultimately 24 communities selected right across Australia. And this would deliver free Wi-Fi access to community members, built on the insight that many households may not have, what I might consider. Typically in my house, laptops sort of plugged in all over the place, but a significant number of handheld devices being smartphones. Whether community members have smartphones or laptops, I guess that's not the point. Previously, relying on a broadband type usage, using expensive prepaid technology effectively. We've installed 19 of those 24. The balance we'll need to wait until the wet season completes. So unfortunately, the wet season beat us on a number of communities. But what we're seeing is significant take-up in the communities we've connected. So since October, more than 26,000 devices have connected across the 19 communities, consuming more than 50 terabytes of data. Interesting that equates to about 1.6 devices per community member, so indicating that a community are using multiple devices. There were 51,546 government web page visits, which equates to 7 visits per device per month. And of course, access to government services was something that we were quite keen to foster. As I mentioned, we have 4 sites remaining, and we hope to get to those: Galawinku, Doomadgee, Goanyama and Hopevale. An important point to note is that we've recruited digital champions, because it's not just good enough to have access to broadband, to have safe access and to support digital capabilities. We have a local digital champion who we upskill to support. And I had to test my team, Senator, when I asked for some feedback around Fitzroy Crossing. But it was direct feedback from community members that community leaders have suggested that they'd seen a decrease in crime and an increase in school attendance as a consequence of the rollout of the service, and enabling people to stay in their community to access services, including Centrelink, and reducing the need to travel into Fitzroy Crossing main town. So, Yeah, relatively early days. We're looking forward to conclude the program, but we do see the benefits for those needy communities.
Yeah, very important work. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you. And thank you for sharing your last estimates day with this committee. No, she's not on tomorrow.
I'm not on tomorrow.
But we're back next week, remember?
No, she's not scheduled for next week either. Because I'll be here.
Senator Billick, under these circumstances, can you tell us just how many?
17 years worth.
It's a lot of estimates.
Well, my staff told me it was 145 days, but I think they might have undercounted.
I was thinking that when I was doing a bit of a tally up, but yeah. But 145 is where we're sitting.
Over 7 months.
Over 7 months of your life.
Of my life.
Wow. That's not how I count, because that's normally more than 20 days in the...
No.
Don't want to count more than 20.
Mrs. Lacey would be very sad if I...
She would run out of fingers and toes. Thank you to NBN Co. Thank you for joining us. We will now release you. It does conclude today's hearing. Thank you to all the witnesses who appeared, and particularly thank you to Hansard Broadcasting and our amazing secretariat who do a tireless and amazing job. And I will also thank the Minister for being with us today, and remind all senators that the committee has agreed that any written questions on notice that you would like to lodge should be provided to the Secretariat by the 16th of April 2025. Don't tell me you're busy, Senator Cadell. Surely not. The committee now stands adjourned. Thank you.